All right, so we're gonna dive into like individual cell isolation and analysis. So this part I think is also critical for you guys to just kind of like sit back and watch it because I want you to understand the concept of what's happening prior to learning the tools. So what I'm going to do here to kind of keep it simple is I'm going to pull this surface element down to the bottom, right? So we've got all the data up here that I'm going to turn off. Now we're just looking at our big cell grid. Okay. In order to understand like which cell is in which group, I'm going to actually analyze them and create a point list for each cell instead of each point on the cell. So to do that, I actually have to create more geometry that's going to read each cell. So when I go to surface and analysis and I pick up something like area, that's going to place a point at the centroid of any geometry that I'm measuring the area of. So that's what this is. It's a point at the center of that geometry, centroid. So what that allows me to do then is do another point list, and I can measure it on that. Copy this, put it there. There we go. So now you can see the point list is reading similar to the other list that we had. So I'm going to isolate one cell. But you have to understand how the data is structured in order to isolate one cell. So what you might think, once you know how to isolate a set of one thing, is that, and it's actually under set and list item, this is going to retrieve, as it says, a specific item from a list. A specific item from a list. That's important to know. That means one item from one list. Yes, I'm drilling that really hard. But when actually, let me do a slider. I'm going to say like 0 to 23, sure. So what this is going to ask me for is the base list that I'm retrieving information from, information or geometry. And then it's going to ask me for the index of that list, the one item that I want, and then the W thing I don't ever really use. Wrap. Oh yeah. So you can wrap it so that it goes back through the list again if your numbers aren't synced up. But anyway, let's go to 1, and I'm going to go to surface, and I'm going to plug this thing in, and it's going to give me those. Actually, let me turn the grid back on. There we go. So it gives me those. Why did it give me those? Why didn't it just get one thing? Kind of. Yeah. Not quite.
I mean, you put 0, so the bottom row is all 0. So
yes. Yeah. There are multiple lists in that list. Right? Mind-boggling. When you look at the data, if I can plug it in right, there are multiple lists in this list of data. And when I say index of 0, that's this item right here, it's going to get the index of 0 from this list and the index of 0 from this list and so on and so forth. So if I want one item, I have to either isolate one of the branches of that list and then grab one, or flatten the list and then grab one item. So this item being flattened would allow me to grab just one cell. Is that clear? Okay. Now, there's a little more to it that I wanted to show you, but basically we're kind of like, we're getting down into the cellular structure of this data, literally and figuratively. So now this cell we're going to analyze in a very similar way. The difference is when I have a surface, it is now geometry that has like, well, not volume in this case, but like it has body to it. So it needs to be deconstructed in a slightly different way. When I go to surface and I go to analysis, we're going to do deconstruct BREP. and then this allows me to explode that thing, and I will have basically, let me kind of turn all this off for a moment and show you with params what it's doing. So we've got points, we've got lines, and we've got surfaces. So on that cell, we've extracted all 4 of its points. On that cell, we've extracted all 4 of its edges, which is probably really hard to see up there. And then on that cell, it's only one item, but we have extracted the surface again as well. So that is the structure. If you care so much to understand the point values and how they're organized, you can plug that in and you'll see that it says 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? So we're going to be working with those 0s and 1s and 2s and 3s quite a bit in this class. Yeah, so anyway, that's the gist of all the kind of data structuring that you'll need for quadrilateral forms. What questions do you have? It's okay if you don't think you can just turn around and do this immediately. I don't expect you to. Okay? All right. So, let's see. All right, so if there are no questions, then let's make some architecture. Yep. Don't worry. You can follow along with me. Okay.